Would you like to learn how to collect your thoughts and land your message every time, even if you get tongue-tied, ramble, or freeze when all eyes are on you? Well, if that's the case, if that's you, then you must join me for my upcoming Speaking with Impact workshop series. It's a 3-part live and interactive workshop series that takes place over 3 consecutive days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for half an hour. For half an hour each day, that's it. And I will share with you, like I've shared with 2,500 other people in this workshop before, how to handle all of those tangents that you ping off on, how to move those really powerful casual conversations that you have, but then you freeze. You freeze when you've got all eyes are on you. And I'll teach you how you can articulate yourself just like the other smart, intelligent, and experienced people around the table. So you can stop sitting there going, oh, damn, I didn't articulate, or I didn't demonstrate, or I didn't say what I wanted to say. And instead, you can show up and contribute in the way that you want. So it's taking place, it's kicking off on Tuesday, the 10th of June, 2025. If you can't make it live, though I would love you to, because that's where the juice is, but if you can't make it live, then yes, I will be sending out the replay to all registered people. So jump to the link in my show notes and come and join me for the Speaking with Impact series that kicks off on Tuesday, the 10th of June. Now, let's get stuck in today's episode. Welcome to another episode of Speaking with Confidence with Kat Matson. Yes, that's me. And this is the show where I coach impact-minded, humble leaders like you, business owners, public servants, corporate contributors, and, corporate hippies, how to speak with authority, authenticity, and impact so you can contribute to the conversations that matter to you and make the difference that you're wanting to make in the world. Today's episode, it's really tempting for me to rant about AI, but I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do today is talk about the problem that I see happen a lot, a lot, when people use speaking templates, slide templates, or AI generated guides on how to structure your information. This problem popped up and became very apparent to me a couple of weeks ago when I was working with a bunch of founders in the Startup Accelerator program that I'm currently working in. And we've been working with this group of founders now for 8-9 weeks, and they've been pitching at the end of every session. Some of the times they've got a pitch deck, they've got their slides, and other times they've just been riffing on their own. And we've been working on different ways of telling their founder story, different ways of talking about their business, and their pitches have been fantastic. And then we introduced them to this master pitch deck concept, basically a master deck of all of the different slides that you might need as a founder, because when you're pitching as a founder, sometimes you're going to need to pitch to potential customers. Sometimes you're going to need to pitch to potential investors. Sometimes you're going to need to pitch to partners. Other times you're going to need to pitch to accelerator programs like the Run I'm Running in order to get entry into the program. And so our recommendation is that you have a master deck that has all of the particular slides that you could ever use, and that way it's really easy to just pull together the decks that you need when you need them. Anywho, what happened was that the founders saw this master deck as a template, as a recipe, and they tripped. Their pitches went from really awesome and authentic and engaging and personal to technical and robotic and convoluted and detailed. And we watched this over and over and over again. And I realized that what had gone wrong was that people were using the master pitch deck guide as a template, and they were using it like a color by numbers, just follow the formula. It wasn't the intention. It was meant to be a guide. It was meant to be a checklist. And I see this happen over and over again. And it's actually, I absolutely see this happen with AI. People will say, will drop into ChatGPT, draft up a presentation that does blah, blah, blah. And so Chatty does its thing based on a very, well, by definition, a large language model, formulaic approach to delivering information. And because it's not your voice, because it's not your style, because it's not your rhythm or your flow, it just doesn't work. It's really hard to effectively, let alone authentically, deliver to somebody else's flow, to deliver to somebody else's formula. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a logical flow to information, and one of the models that I teach inside the Impactful Presenters program is literally what goes into the beginning, the middle, and the end of any presentation so you can have maximum impact. You wouldn't want to start in the middle, then go to the end, and then go back to the beginning. That's going to confuse and confuddle your listeners. So there is logic and there is flow. But when you use a template, when you use an AI-generated system, the risk you take is that you're no longer thinking into the information that you're presenting. You're no longer thinking into the journey that you're taking your audience on. You're no longer thinking about the transformation, or how it is that you're leaving your audience different to where they were when you started. And when you use that kind of a template in a color by numbers, it's no longer you. It's no longer you. And I got to say, in a world where there's not a lot of original ideas anymore, because there's not, let's face it, the only thing left to connect with people is your authentic experience, your unique experience, why you care about a problem, about a cause, about this topic. And you don't want to lose that. You don't want that to be squeezed out in a color by numbers template, or in a say this, then say that, then say this recipe. So when you are looking for some guidance on how to shape a presentation, a conversation, a reel, a pitch, whatever it is, yes, there are different pieces of information that need to be included in different presentations. Like a sales pitch is different to a startup founder pitch, it's different to a board presentation, it's different to a networking function intro, and they all kind of have key elements, right? So you identify, or you could even go looking for those key elements, but use those key elements as a checklist, as a piece that sits to the side while you design, you craft your narrative. A narrative that, yes, you make sure it checks off each of those key elements, but in your words, in your flavor, in your style. I'm just thinking we have some beautifully different founders in this current accelerator program I have. And there's one gentleman who has such a gorgeously slow and lackadaisical approach to him. And every time he stands up to speak and speaks really slowly with this lovely lilting storytelling, I'm thinking he's never going to get all of the things that he needs to say out if he keeps speaking so slowly. And yet he does. And yet he does. And it's engaging and it's beautiful, and you just settle into a different kind of presentation, and you know that you're listening to him, not to an AI generated, templated, colors by numbers speech. The other thing that I want to say, just because that sparked a little thought, is when you do stand and deliver something that has been generated by AI, we can tell. We can tell. And on one hand, maybe that's not an issue. If you're delivering the safety instructions for a plane, well, that's the same information. So that doesn't matter whether it's AI generated, or whether you're delivering the orientation information for a particular venue, then maybe that doesn't matter. But when you're delivering information that is about your ideas, your thoughts, your opinions, when you're delivering your expertise, you want you to come through. And when you use AI to write that, and then you use that as the basis from which you speak, we lose the essence of you. And there's this lack of, I'm going to say soul. There's this lack of soul and this lack of substance. Because if it's been AI generated, and you don't write to me if you've developed your entire encyclopedia full of prompts where it's all your information. That's not what I'm talking about here. But if it's AI generated, then just from the net, then anyone can Google that. Anyone can look that up. So what I'm saying here is, by all means, go looking for a guide, go looking for a framework, go looking for even templates, but put them to the side and use them as a reminder for yourself of, have I touched on all the points? Have I delivered all of the key pieces that my audience might be looking for? Your pitches, your presentations, your stories, they are all yours, and they will have the biggest impact when you are authentic in how you're presenting them. And that includes your style. And I, don't go breaking rules of logic, but don't squeeze yourself into somebody else's framework or into somebody else's template. Just use that as a guide. All right, I'll get off my high horse. As I mentioned at the top of this episode, in a couple of weeks, in a couple of weeks, if you're listening in real time, I am hosting my very popular and much loved Speaking with Impact workshop series. It's a live and interactive workshop series where I'll teach you how to do just these kind of things, how to speak with greater impact without having to lean on a color by numbers style template. Because God knows the world does not need more of the same. The link is in the show notes, but it basically, over 3 short half-hour sessions, we'll have a lot of fun. I will teach you how to overcome imposter syndrome. I'll teach you how to structure your thinking so you can collect your thoughts and deliver your message. And I'll give you my all-time favorite framework for everything that you need to know about speaking with impact. So come and join us. It's a whole lot of fun. And 2,500 people have gone through that little workshop now, and they rave about it. That's me done. I hope that has given you some ideas on how to use templates or guides or AI in a more useful way. And until I see you next time, here's to confidence and here's to impact. I'll see you soon.